in Levi's Stadium. Tim, Dieter Kurtenbach, Larry Krueger with you this morning. A little bit of a different flavor for you on a Monday before Christmas. How's Indianapolis treating you?
T-Rock.
I'm doing well, fellas. Happy holidays.
Same
Little
to you.
different flavor. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good flavor or a bad flavor, but it sure is hell different.
A little different. My palate likes a little different flavor every once in a while.
How's the flavor of Phillip Rivers taste to you when you watch the film?
Tasty and well aged, like a fine wine. Look, I got so much respect for him. We know how tough he is. He's tough as nails. I remember doing games when he had a torn ACL when he was with the San Diego Chargers, and still went out and played, won games. Couldn't move great then. Certainly can't move very well now, but is like a coach on the field, man. He throws to the right guy. You put on that tape against Seattle, he throws to the right guy every time. Does he have more limitations now at 44? Obviously he does, but he gets it out quick. He counts on the quick game. He counts on the screen game, and you know that he's going to lean on Jonathan Taylor in the run game. Jonathan Taylor will have 25 carries at a minimum in this game. He's an absolute workhorse. So being able to contain him and not letting him loose for a big night and playing good in the red zone, because the guy's a very, very good running back, and I know they're down 2 offensive tackles, but they do a lot of stuff schematically. They're going to challenge this 49er front, and the way the tackling has been over the last 2 weeks, if that doesn't improve, Jonathan Taylor will have a big night in between the 20. So the key is going to be playing good down in the red zone and making them kick field goals instead of getting touchdowns. But got a lot of respect for Phillip, and I think at the end of the day, as I look at this game, as I said just a second ago, he's going to rely on the quick game. It's coming out in about 2.3 seconds. So by all means necessary, and this, I think, is going to be music to the ears of the defensive linemen and the pass rushers. Mm-hmm. What's the rush plan this week? Rush with reckless abandon. Throw caution to the wind. Hell with the contain. Hell with the rush lanes. Hell with the squeeze, python push, as I like to call it. And let's constrict the pocket and keep the quarterback in the pocket, which is the plan virtually every week versus the quarterbacks in the NFL. Not letting them get out, not letting them step up and step out and extend plays and get into the playground scramble drill. Get to the pocket, get to Phillip Rivers in 2 seconds by any means necessary. And when you're taught as a pass rusher, and I was talking to a few of the fellows this week, we're all taught the same way. Get to an edge and win quick. And you go through your one-on-ones and you're in practice, man, and you're pulling all your moves and your creativity. And pass rush is about creativity, setting a guy up, working the edge a couple plays, and then bang, now you hit him with a counter move inside. Right. Well, you do all that and you get good at all of it, and then you get into a game and it's like, all right, we got to rush with discipline. We got to stay in our lanes. We got to get push. We got to, and then it all changes, and rightly so, with the way these quarterbacks are in the NFL. And this week, I think it's got to be the first week, at least as I see it, where there's a quarterback that isn't going to move. And if you can get him to move and open some doors for him and force him to move and then get to him, I think, I'm excited. And again, without either of their offensive tackles, their starters, there's going to be a chance for the 49er rushers to be able to have a big impact in this game.
T-Rock, happy holidays. Happy holidays.
Yeah, right back at you, buddy. Good to hear your flavor.
It's good to hear you as well. You mentioned no Braden Smith, no Bernard Ryman. They're starting a guy named Jalen Travis and another guy named Luke Tenuta. Travis is a rookie. He made his first start last week. For Smith, Tenuta is making his first career start this week. So,
right.
We all saw last week, right? I mean, Phillip is smart. He knows where to go with the ball. He's not afraid. He's courageous as hell, but he doesn't want to hold it, and he's not driving it down the field. So what can, outside of getting your hands up, what can Robert Saleh, what kind of wrinkles can he do to make sure that they're taking, you don't want to play any kind of soft coverage and allow him to establish a rhythm. This is the wrong game to let this guy establish a rhythm. So how do you, right in the first series, interrupt this guy's rhythm when he wants to throw it short. He wants to throw screens. He wants to get it out.
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple things. I think the 49ers are going to have to play tighter coverage, and there is no Renardo Green in this game. And for me, that's okay. Darrell Luter, I think, is going to bring what it takes in terms of being a formidable guy out there on the island. The challenge the 49ers have had in the man coverage stuff is, passing off zones and bunches. And when they get into those little cluster sets, who's got who, and that's got to be simplified. And however it's simplified to where the guys understand, it's got to be tight. You're the point man. Take this guy. If he goes in, you got him. If he goes out, this guy. That stuff's all got to get fixed because Phillip Rivers will not miss a bust. He won't miss it. So you got to challenge all of those types of plays and challenge these wide receivers, and they're all big. I think when you look at Pittman, and I think you look at Pierce, in the tight end, Tyler Warren, the rookie, who's, really good player and a big feature part of this offense, is those guys aren't going to run by you. So you got to be willing to take some chances and play some press and play some man coverage. The challenge is, again, passing off those bunches and those clusters and doing it without a guy busting. So I think what you got to do is very simply that, is play tight coverage, and you got to send an extra guy, and there'll be times, I think, and again, that's an area the 49ers have not been great at this year, when Robert is dialing up pressures and being able to support it with tight coverage behind it. So I think that remains to be seen. I think if it were me, that would be the plan. And then the question is can these guys get home and have an impact on Rivers? And then most importantly, not let them sitting. And probably the big reason why they were in that game against Seattle last week was their third down defense and their third down offense, and being able to continue to keep drives alive and have field goal opportunities. So they've got to limit Jonathan Taylor from going off and getting Phillip Rivers into those, third and 2 to 4, where he can get it out and find the quick matchup and the easy matchup. So, I think there's a lot of ways to draw it up schematically. At the end of the day, they got to play tighter in coverage, and they've got to be able to get home faster. And I think they'll have an opportunity to do that tonight.
Just want to remind you, you're listening to KMBR AM and KMBR FF San Francisco, the sports leader and a Cumulus media station. Tim, how big is Tatum Bethune's return to the lineup for the 49ers?
I think it's big in terms of, the missed tackling and some of the challenges, and certainly not all of that on Curtis Robinson. And Curtis was out there for a couple of games and both victories. And those are certainly, that's what you look for when you're putting your third team middle linebacker out there along with some other guys. So Tatum has got a very good nose for the ball. He's about the same size as Jonathan Taylor, maybe a little bit taller, but Tatum gets after it. And so I think having him back in the middle, he's a much surer tackler in the middle of that defense. So I think that's the biggest thing he brings back in. Now, one thing that's been a challenge that when he was out there was the communication. And I'm sure, and I have not talked to Robert about this, but it seems like things have been simplified over the last few weeks since he's been out, since the Carolina game. And, as you look at the defense, and because there haven't been a lot of mental busts, there's been some physical busts, and there's been guys not passing off coverages and doing things when guys play a lot together, they understand, and, hey man, you got to fall off of this, and so there have been some of those challenges, but there haven't just been a lot of flat out communication errors. So I'm sure Robert has simplified some of those things that they're doing on the back end. That's one thing I do appreciate. And, as Robert has said many times this year, this defense is like a roller coaster ride. Just get on. There's going to be a lot of highs. There's going to be some lows. You don't know exactly what you're going to get, as so many of these guys are in the developmental stage. And he's still trying to figure out, what positions to put them in and what they do great and what they don't do so good, and get those things ironed out. So communication's got to be on, and I'm sure it will be in this game because, again, Phillip Rivers isn't going to miss if you miss.
T-Rock, let's talk game within the game. Shanahan against Anarumo. I mean, Anarumo's a phenomenal coordinator. He was in Cincinnati. He's now in Indy. And, he likes to play man, but, without Gardner and without his other starting corner, they've been playing a lot of zone. So I would
Right.
imagine you're going to see a lot of single high. You're going to see a lot of split safety looks. But I expect Purdy to feast. The Colts defense has given up over 250 passing yards per game over their last 5 games. I like Purdy to feast down the field in this game. What do you think of the return of Buckner? What's the challenge for the Niner O-line to try to stand up and give Purdy that time?
Yeah, well, I think pass pro they're going to be fine. They've been pretty damn good all year long, and when they're not, Brock's ability to move out of the pocket and use his skill sets has certainly been on full display. You've seen that over the last couple of games. I'm with you. I think there's a big opportunity for Brock to roll out some big numbers in this game again tonight, and I think it's pretty simple. Brock's processing will be on full display in reading those coverages. And they will still blitz now. I mean, they're going to still send some pressure, and they're going to play some man. I charted them out 9 times a game. They're bringing a 0 blitz, which is 7 guys coming. So Brock and the receivers got to be on point with their communication, what they're looking at, and just execute the game plan. Kyle's game plan will be ready to go, and we'll have all the answers built into that stuff. So I like the matchups on Blackman and Edwards. You got a rookie corner, you got a third-year corner. Both of them have been backups. So I like the opportunity to take advantage of those guys. And then, one thing when you look at these guys, and there's not a lot of superstars on their defense. I mean, DeForest Buckner is their best player, I think. He's been a star in this league. He's coming back from a neck injury. He'll get you with the jump swim, so it'll be a challenge for Pooney in there and Burford at left guard and right guard. And he's just so big and so long, and the batted balls and the things that he can do. But other than that, I like the matchup for the O-line, and when guys do get beat, and Latu is a good player, and some of their other Kwity Paye's got a nonstop motor, Ebukam's got a nonstop motor. Those guys are going to bring it, but I like the 49ers matchup in this game. I think they can take advantage of the inside linebackers. And Krug, because you've watched enough tape, the last two matchups, Cleveland and Tennessee, very similar in terms of the 3-4 looks and the downhill north and south linebackers. Linebackers that want to attack the line of scrimmage. Linebackers that see a run formation tendency, bang, they're in the backfield trying to force a negative play. And it's feast or famine, and they are a very good run defense. The key for the 49ers run game is to continue to convert on third down, which they've been all over the money down. And, this team has struggled on the third down stuff. But when those linebackers are that aggressive, and they are making plays at the line of scrimmage, they are susceptible to play action. They are susceptible to the keeper game. They are susceptible to some of the misdirection passing plays that the 49ers always have dialed up with, McCaffrey and Kittle, and everybody going one way and Kittle back against the grain the other way will be a challenge for those inside linebackers. So I'm with you. I think Brock's just got to be patient and feed the read, man. If it's single high and it's, there are 3 deep zones, take advantage of the opportunities. There's holes. There's going to be windows. The Brock clock, get it out on time into those holes. And then the biggest thing will be when they're in those zones is guys getting yards after the catch. And that's an area where, say catch it at 4 or 5 and they get 3 or 4 with a drop step and getting vertical, those numbers add up throughout the course of the game. But I see another big night for Brock Purdy in terms of what I think, we know what he's capable of doing. And I think with the opportunities that this defense will give them by their design and their coverages.
Talking to the great Tim Ryan on the call tonight, 49ers and Colts here on the leader. Tim, I thought C.J. West was immense in the 14, 15 snaps that he got against Tennessee. What are you seeing from C.J. West? Do you think we see more of him tonight?
Yeah, I think a guy that's still figuring it out. Up in the booth, I get him confused sometimes with KD when they're in that traffic inside. He is Kalia Davis with both those guys with the hair hanging out of the back of the helmet and playing the same position, but he can hold up on those double teams. That's one thing with that low center of gravity. He's like a fire hydrant, man. He's hard to move, and he does have some natural jack and some real strength to them. So those guys, they run a lot of the crunch. They'll run a lot of the duo plays. But I think the biggest thing that when you look at the D tackles in this game, and CJ in particular, all of them, is holding up on those doubles, but being ready for a trap game, being ready for a wham game. This team runs more of that stuff than anybody the 49ers have played this year, with a lot of pullers, and they got a good center in Bortolini. You can get the angles and get out to the linebackers, and they leave the defensive tackle unblocked. They're doing it for a reason. You better turn down inside and create a collision to shrink some of those, and compress those running lanes for Jonathan Taylor, because he's got really good feet, really good vision, and balance, and we'll get through there. So I think the D tackles, all of them, including CJ, and it's hard now because so many of these guys in this defense are taught, get in the backfield, wreak havoc. Because on one play, you're telling them, we want knockback. We want knockback. You got to knock these guys backwards. Okay, well, what does that mean? That means you better come off with a flat back, you better come off hard, and you better be ready to knock guys back. Well, then you do that, you're the second step into your knockback, and you're unblocked. Oh, boy, what's happening?
Right.
And now a guy's in your ear hole kicking you out on a trap play. So going to have to play with great eyes, great feel in terms of the formations and what you're seeing in front of them. And then I'd say the same for the defensive ends when you talk about containing this run game. And that's where I like getting Sam O back into the lineup. And what Sam Okawano can do is a guy that can hammer and set an edge. He's done that from day one since he's gotten here. But the challenge when you're setting the edge, and when I say set the edge, you're the edge guy, and here comes a puller. You've got to hit him. You don't sit and wait on it, and you give up a yard of space, and now all of a sudden that lane that Jonathan Taylor's running through is wide, and it's easy for him to get through it. So you got to hit that guy with a hammer, the puller. But in this game, you got to do it with the thought process of keeping your outside arm free, because the bounce play is going to happen too. Because if you watch these guys on tape and you watch Jonathan Taylor, they want to bounce. He is very good between the tackles, but he wants to bounce and get out to the perimeter. So that'll be a big, big challenge for the edge defensive lineman in this game.
I totally agree with your point on West. I mean, it showed this week. I mean, you could see it. He really does anchor inside, and so does Collins. If I don't know what they're going to give you as rushers, but man, they will anchor, and you could really see it this week when you looked at some of the all-22. Let me ask you though. This is Lynch referenced it to Murph and Marcus last week, and I think he's right on the money. This pregame is going to be really interesting tonight. As in that final hour before kickoff, the Niners have, Green's out, but Bethune's back, Sam O's back, Jordan Elliott's back. They also have Kendricks, who they could go to on the practice squad, but he has to be elevated. They got Yatir Gross-Matos, who's questionable with the hamstring. Is there something, Tim, that you're looking for, decision-wise, roster-wise, as we get closer to kickoff? Because Lynch kind of referenced that they, with so many guys getting healthy, they're going to have some choices to make as they get closer to kickoff.
Yeah, well, that's way beyond my pay grade, Krugs, as you know. So I've got an idea of who I think is going to play, but I also the biggest part of that is how do they factor in on the special teams?
Right.
So I mean that to me is when you look at a guy like Curtis Robinson, you look at a guy like Chase Lucas, you look at a guy like Robert Beal. Those guys have all been mainstays in core four guys in the special teams, and special teams has given the 49ers a huge shot in the arm this year with their level of play. So is Kendricks how good is he going to be on special teams? He's been in the league a long time. A lot of veterans, I'm sure he would be willing, but aren't real excited to go out there, and guys that have started 100-plus starts in the NFL going out there and playing on special teams. Now, I'm sure he'd be willing to do it, but how good at it will he be? It's not just plug and play. Special teams has got so much scheme to it now. It's a lot harder than people give it credit for. So I think that's probably the biggest factor, other than, this guy's just a better player and we're elevating him. I think when you get into, okay, is this guy up or is this guy down? I think the biggest factor is where are his contributions on the special teams.
Tim, thanks so much for the insight. Have a great call tonight. We'll be listening with excited, not bated breath, but we'll be really excited to hear it.
Yeah, the last game of Week 16. Let's go, fellas. The number 1 seed is still alive and well. The 49ers will have to win out. This will be a big challenge, but I think one that they can take advantage of. Happy holidays, you guys.
Hey, happy holidays, bro. Well. Good to talk to you, man.
Awesome stuff there, Lair. We're going to get into trap blocks and wham blocks and all that good stuff on the other side. Lot to digest there. Kurtenbach and Kruger with you until 10 a.m. on The Sports Leader.